what was the next step then? After that, you decided to do something about it. What did you do?
I mean, it might sound a bit cliche, but I was Leicester Square. You go downstairs into the tube station. You see all these people, and like they suddenly appear from nowhere. And I remember getting on the tube. It was like summer's day. Got on the tube. You know how packed it is on the tube. You're like pushed into a corner. This one day, this guy just turns around, puts his arm on the railing, and my head's like right there. I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. You know, you can't go through life like this. And I remember picking up a newspaper, the Sunday Times Rich List, and it said all the richest people in there, they all held some wealth in property. Right? So I thought, wow, I need to get into property, right? And so I'll never forget this. I was listening to an audio. In the audio, there was this investor by the name of Dolph DeRoos, and he said that he'd been studying all this time, spending thousands and thousands of tuition on education, and what happened is at the same time when he applied for a job, he didn't get any jobs, and he kept applying. And so what happened is he got into real estate, right? And he bought a property, made $35,000 on the same day. That house that made him that money, he got a job for a salary of $30,000. I thought, and when I was listening to that story, I thought, interesting. So if I can just buy a house and then sell it, then I can do that for 6 months, and for the next 6 months, take the rest of the year off and do the things I want to do. Because actually, I love TV and film. I actually wanted to be in front of the camera and write films and write TV scripts and things like that. So, for me, looking at that, I knew that people who made wealth and had wealth in their life all held some wealth in property. So I went home and I typed in, get rich quick in property, and all these lists started coming up, all these seminars, books, programs, online, internet membership sites, and I was very skeptical at the time. What do you mean you can get rich quick? And I'd go to these seminars, and you'd pay to go to these seminars, and you'd sit there, and I was sat in the audience, and I'd watch someone at the front talking about real estate and how you can become rich. And for me, being Chinese, I was very, very skeptical. And so I kept going to these seminars and these networking events, and I started finding out other people started, doing this. Like, I met one guy and he bought like 20 odd houses using none of his money. I said, that sounds too good to be true, right? And usually if you're not, and as you and I know, because I know you run a very successful company on teaching people self-development and knowledge, if you don't know that stuff, then your reality is this is impossible.
Yeah.
And so as I started attending more and more and more seminars, I had an opportunity to be mentored by a property millionaire. And at this point I thought, okay, hold on a second, it sounds too good to be true, right? And the tuition for the mentoring was £10,000. I didn't have £10,000, right? But what I had was a car. And one of the things I learned through this journey of entrepreneurship is that you have to have something called delayed gratification. So you sacrifice something now for a better tomorrow. So what did I do? I sold my car. I had a Honda S2000 convertible. It was beautiful. I sold it and I got £15,000 for it. And I paid this guy's name was Ying Tan, and I paid him £10,000 for just 2 days of coaching. And in those 2 days, he taught me that it's not about, because most people's excuses is there's no finance, there's no money out there. But there's never a lack of money. It's only a lack of resources and creativity. And so he taught me a way to actually acquire properties, find them really cheap, make money when you buy, not when you sell, and also to rent them out. And that's how I bought my first property. I bought for $85,000 and I sold it for $185,000. And I was like, this is unbelievable. I just made like 3 years worth of my salary in like 3 months.
So this was after you finished the mentorship with
this was during.
This
This was during.
During.
Yeah.
Oh.